Esther teaches Holden a lesson about Katherine Chancellor. Recap. On today's The Young and the Restless recap, Esther gives Holden a history lesson. Esther is chatting with Holden at Crimson Lights. They banter a bit about why he's staying in town, and she thinks it's about a woman. Esther's always been good with matters of the heart and mentions Mrs. C. Holden doesn't know the name, and Esther explains a bit about one of the grande dames of Genoa City. Holden then gets all kinds of charming with Esther, and she fans herself as she makes her exit. Holden texts Claire and says he will see her soon. Previous The Young and the Restless recap. Cain and Phyllis hit the sheets. Phyllis ribs Lily for being jealous on The Young and the Restless. Lily is having a tense encounter with Cain and Phyllis at the GCC. She is thrown by seeing Cain and Phyllis all chummy and laughing. Phyllis ribs Lily and her big purse about being a jealous ex, but Lily just continuously repeats she isn't jealous. She turns to Cain, puts on her best mommy voice, and says she is disappointed in him. What did you think of today's episode? Sound off in the comments and watch the video clip below. This story was originally reported by Daytime Confidential on November 20, 2025, where it first appeared in the Young and the Restless section. Add Daytime Confidential as a preferred source by clicking here. Genoa City mornings had a way of looking deceptively gentle, mist curling off manicured lawns, sunlight breaking like a polite visitor across driveways that had seen more scandal than snowfall. It was only fitting, Esther Valentine thought, that deception would be the theme of the day. Not dangerous deception, not the kind Katherine Chancellor used to joke about, the sort that ends in a lawsuit or a scandalous headline, but a softer, more nagging kind. The kind brought about by people who didn't know what they didn't know. And at the top of that list today was Holden McTeer. Holden, 24, polished, impatient, and masking insecurity beneath blazers he didn't need, had been working around the Chancellor estate for only 3 weeks. A tech consultant temporarily assisting with the digital cataloging of Katherine's old notes, letters, and recordings. A simple job. An honor, really, in Esther's mind. But Holden treated the collection like dusty debris that needed sorting, not a treasure chest of Genoa City history. And that, Esther decided as she poured her morning tea, simply could not stand. She had promised Jill she'd let the kid do his job without hovering, but the way he spoke about Mrs. C yesterday, she seems overrated, honestly. Maybe people exaggerate what she did here. Still vibrated in Esther's chest like a struck gong. She had stood there speechless, teacup trembling in her hand, while he shrugged and returned to scanning documents as though he hadn't committed near blasphemy. Esther was many things: loyal, patient, perhaps too gentle for a house that once hosted ghosts of every variety, but she was not about to let ignorance rewrite history. Today she would teach the boy a lesson. The paper riddle. Holden was standing at the long mahogany table in the archive room when Esther walked in. He looked the same as always, tidy, proud, and very sure of himself. He had a scanner in one hand and Katherine Chancellor's old leather-bound planner in the other, as though the two held equal value. "Morning, Esther," he said without looking up. "I finished digitizing the 1989 files. The handwriting is kind of hard to read. Honestly, it's amazing anyone put up with this level of disorganization." Esther inhaled sharply. "That handwriting," she said, walking toward him like a shadow gaining weight, "funded charities and rehab centers. That handwriting helped run Chancellor Industries at its most powerful. That handwriting mended this family more times than I can count." Holden blinked. "I didn't mean—" "Oh, yes, you did," she said, snatching the planner from his hand before he could react. "And if you're going to talk about Katherine Chancellor at all, let the lone judge her. You're going to do it with understanding." He huffed. "I'm just saying the system was messy. I'm a tech guy. I like clarity." "Mrs. C had clarity," Esther said. "Just a different kind." She flipped open the planner to a page Holden hadn't scanned yet. A page with only one sentence written inside, circled 3 times in thick blue ink. "Don't let today repeat itself." Holden frowned. "And?" "That sentence," Esther said, eyes softening, "was written the morning after she fired me. And the morning she hired me back." "You got fired?" he asked, eyes widening. "Once," Esther said. "Only once." And I deserved it. But Mrs. C felt guilty afterward. She always acted tough, but she had a conscience like a stone, heavy and impossible to ignore. She snapped the planner shut. Holden, these pages aren't disorganized. They're breadcrumbs. And every crumb matters. Holden looked unsure, as though the room had tipped slightly. Esther had begun. 2. A house filled with echoes. Esther led Holden down the corridor, the one lined with portraits of Katherine through the decades. Young and fierce, middle-aged and unstoppable, older but somehow even more formidable. Holden slowed at one in particular. Katherine standing on the grand staircase in a silver gown, hand raised as though she just made an announcement that changed everything. She looks like she owned the world, Holden murmured. She did, Esther said. But she also questioned herself every day. You should have seen her late at night, sitting in the kitchen eating crackers because she was too upset to sleep. She'd say, Esther, do you think I pushed too hard today? Holden looked genuinely surprised. She asked you that? Oh yes, Esther said, smiling wistfully. Mrs. C valued strength, but she never pretended she didn't make mistakes. And she apologized. To me. To Joel. To Nikki. Even to Victor once or twice. She paused. Though he never let her forget the opposite. Holden chuckled. I didn't realize you were so close. So close. Esther repeated, laughing in disbelief. Holden, this isn't just a house I work in. Katherine Chancellor saved my life. More than once. She pushed open the sitting room door and guided him toward the fireplace. Above it hung a painting of Katherine and Esther together. Katherine's hand on Esther's shoulder, both women smiling like time itself couldn't touch them. Holden looked at it quietly. Tell me one thing, he said. Why did she keep you on? I mean, most people in her position didn't usually form that kind of bond with their staff. Esther smiled. Because Mrs. C didn't see staff. She saw people. Flawed, hopeful, frightened, brilliant people. She saw their best even when no one else did. Her voice softened. She saw it in me. Holden swallowed, something shifting behind his eyes. But Esther wasn't finished.